Hello and welcome to a live deprogram with Keri Smith. I'm your host, Keri. Today's not my usual streaming day. It's Tuesday, June 10th. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. I'm streaming today because I, I've been watching sort of from afar every once in a while, checking out on social media and looking at some of the stuff that's happening in Los Angeles with all of the riots and the violence that's happening. And I have things I wanted to say about it. And yesterday I couldn't stream during my usual time because my husband and I were traveling. We were in Iowa. We were coming back yesterday, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your patience and thank you for being here with me today. I see some familiar faces in the chat. If you're able to be here, hello, Michelle. Force of Light is listening from the gym. Just a quick word about Iowa. It was wonderful. My husband had 2 shows there. There were some friends of ours in Texas who brought us over there it's the hometown of one of our friends. And the town we were in, Manning, Iowa, was amazing. If you've never been there, I don't know how to describe it. We heard a lot about it from our friend before him, but we didn't really understand until we got there. It's a small town. It's like 1,500 people, but it is thriving. I'm writing an essay about it because I think it's really inspired me. Like, this is what we could return to. This is what we could do. I didn't know towns like this existed. A lot of small towns in Texas are dying, or they're trying to be revived, or they've grown too large. Like Georgetown is getting to be too large, and there's too many crazy woke people coming in. It's very expensive, and it's just becoming like a little mini Austin, which sucks. Still trying to save Georgetown though. But a lot of the smaller towns have faced just economic depression, industry moving away, crime, drug addiction, things like this. This town in Iowa, Manning, Iowa, first thing we noticed when we drove in is every yard is manicured. Everything looks nice. And it doesn't matter. It's not just like the big historic homes. It's the small little bungalow houses. It's the apartment complexes. The lawns look nice. Everything's well taken care of. We didn't see one yard that needed mowing. I was like, do they like mow each other's lawns if they can't? What's going on? This whole town is really nice. People are proud of their homes. A lot of people have on their lawns like their family name, like Jones or whatever, on some kind of a handmade wooden piece of art, and we met so many people in the town who volunteer. They have an incredible number of volunteer hours for a town that people put in. We met the woman who's responsible for doing a lot of the landscaping on the main street there. Their main street with their historic buildings is thriving. They have all these brand new, for a little town of 1,500 people, they have a hospital. It's pretty new with a recovery unit. They have a helipad. They have a fire department, brand new fire department. They have all these different historic sites, and our friend and others have opened their pocketbooks and spent their own money to bring in different attractions to the town, things that are historic and interesting. They have a Freedom Rock, for example. They have the Charters of Freedom there on display. They moved a historic church from the neighboring town. It's called the Trinity Lutheran Church. And there's a little documentary about how they moved it. They brought it to Manning to preserve it. And it's beautiful. It's 100-something-year-old church. And it's a thriving town. It's a high trust, high reciprocity town. And it actually exists. I've never been to one. So I was just amazed, and I can't overstate. They have a beautiful park system. They've put their own money into. All these people have donated money, and then they've also gotten a lot of grants for development that they, each year they try and get a little more to do a little bit more of the parks, and they have just places to walk and ride bikes and picnic and camp, and people were out there fishing. I was like, this is like out of a movie. What is this town? What's happening here? It's called Manning, Iowa. Deanne says, what's the name of this town and what state? Manning, Iowa. And we went on a tour. Let me just tell you, in the weekend we were there for like 4 days. My husband had 2 shows. And somebody says tech problems at Casa del Keri. Kevin, are there tech problems? I thought my mic was working. Let me know, you guys, if there's tech problems. I'm sorry. But yeah, the town is called Manning, Iowa. And in the 4 days we were there, my husband had 2 shows. We went on a tour with a really great tour guide of they have a house barn there from Germany from the year 1500 something. In the 90s, they raised a lot of money, spent a lot of money to have this house barn brought piece by piece from Germany to Manning, Iowa, because they have a German heritage there and they wanted some kind of interesting historic attraction. And it has a traditional thatched roof. Like you can go on a tour of this. This is a house barn where, people would live with their livestock, and it's been preserved there. And you can go on a tour of the house barn. You can go on a tour of this really rich guy who lived in Manning in the early 1900s. His home, he had like a state-of-the-art home. One of the first homes in Manning with electricity. He had this 3 horse carriage garage, but he filled it with fancy cars. You can go and see all the different things he had put into his home that were new at the time. Then you can go on a tour of the Trinity Church. While we were there, they have all these community events that they organize. All these people pitch in and plan all these things. They had a horse show. We got to see a horse show one day. People bring their horses from all over to compete and plowing and things like this. Then the next day there was a vintage car show where they bring their cars from all over. And like a lot of these I don't know if you've ever been to an old car event. I love them. Like any retro car show. A lot of times all the cars line up according to decade, and you can just walk through the festival grounds, and the people hope that you ask them about their car and what they put into it and stuff. But a lot of times people don't ask. And so Manning a few years ago decided they're going to do a parade. So they actually do a car parade. So everybody lines up on the main street. Everybody brings chairs and, picnic baskets and things, that you just line up, and they have an announcer. It's the same guy that does the tours. This guy, Tim, he's great. He's the announcer of the parade, and each car drives by and he gets a little introduction about what year it is and what work they've done on it, and some facts about the car. And so they each get their little moment where you get to learn about that car. It was so cool. So I'm sorry, I'm gushing about it. Somebody says the gain on the mic is a little high, otherwise perfectly fine. Okay. I don't know if I can fix this. So I'm going to back off from the mic a little, and we'll have to fix it later. Thank you very much. Audio is fine. So it was very cool. The other thing was we flew into Omaha, Nebraska, which was also really lovely. We read a lot about the history of Omaha while we were driving to Manning, and has a really interesting history. That unfortunately we stopped in the downtown, the really cool historic district of Omaha, the marketplace and everything. If you're from there, it was so just in terms of aesthetically, it was lovely. They've renovated a lot of these old buildings. They have a thriving downtown, but it is so woke. Omaha, Nebraska. It was like being in Austin. There was one shop. I think it's the most retarded woke leftist shop I've ever seen. And they had the whole shop, all they sell is woke, leftist, angry, hateful t-shirts and bags and stuff. That's what they sell. It's not just that they decorated it woke. They are woke. They sell woke. This shop was called Raygun. It's just woke R us is what it was. They had a huge Black Lives Matter sign. Black Lives Matter. They had the new commie pride flag with the triangle eating the rainbow with like the circle and everything. They had the crazy communist one. They had a huge Palestinian flag hanging in the doorway. And inside they have all these trans signs, the pink and blue, and they have stuff that says protect trans kids. Of course, they mean let's sterilize and mutilate children. That's what they mean. That's what that sign means. They had when you first walk in, their first table of merchandise was all anti-Trump stuff. And they had stuff on the table like shirts that said, is he dead yet? They had shirts and merchandise calling for the death of our president. They had this new thing that they're trying to make a thing, taco. So the politicians came up with this. It's not organic. That's what's hilarious. They're trying to meme. It was a picture of Trump with the taco or something that said they were selling that already. They had all kinds of crazy woke stuff. They had a table for each oppressed identity group, of merchandise for that group. It was just hilarious and also kind of sad that this is what's happening in, historic Omaha. But that was very different than Manning. We were kind of joking when we got to Manning. We're like, where are the rioters? Where are the woke people? Where's the crime? Where's your ghetto? You don't see any of that. It's just a hardworking small town with people who care about their town and care about each other. And that was very cool. So, if you're not already subscribed to my Substack, you can go to kerismith.substack.com. You can do a free subscription or a paid subscription. But if you want to find my writing, that's where it's at. I'm going to do an essay about Manning because I'm just so inspired by it. And I want to care about my town in the same way. I'm in a couple different groups now in my town. I'm like, oh, we could do this. We could do that. I'm started thinking about things we could do other than just the bake sale. Like, oh, we could do, like they just have so much community involvement. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough. I'm gushing because it was so cool. Manning, Iowa. Okay. Hello, folks. Hey, KB. Hey, Therese, Davina, Russ. I see a lot of familiar faces. Adam, Randy's here. Taco, is that what illegals eat? Tacos are great. I don't know why they think that's an insult. Like Trump is associating him with tacos. Who cares? Tacos are delicious. Hey, horny Alf. What's up, dude? Okay. So after talking about how great Manning, Iowa is, and if you haven't been there, you should visit. I'm serious. This little tiny town, you should visit. There's a lot to do and see. After talking about that, we're going to talk about the insanity that's unfolding in Los Angeles, where I used to live. And as I said, I wasn't online a lot, thankfully, because we were doing a lot of stuff in Iowa. But every once in a while I would check in to see what's going on, and it's just craziness. And I had this overwhelming feeling that I wanted to share with people, which is that I am so happy I got out of LA. I was in Los Angeles for 15 years. I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life. I'll be the first to admit. I've made a few good ones. And one of the best ones I ever made was leaving Los Angeles. I left in 2016. So glad I got out of there. It just keeps deteriorating. It's just full on commie anarchy. It's either you have to be a millionaire to afford to live there or homeless. There's a thriving homeless population. Skid Row keeps getting bigger. The government, the elected officials in Los Angeles don't care about the people. They care more about criminals. They care more about illegal aliens. They want to protect violence and rioting. During the COVID years, I had a friend from LA come and live with us for a couple years because she couldn't work because it was one of the most authoritarian cities. They locked everything down. She wasn't able to work. She was a trainer at a gym. She's a bodybuilder. And they were Garcetti was the mayor at the time. He went on the news and said, you may have heard that snitches get stitches, but in Los Angeles, snitches get rewards. He was telling people to act like Stasi and rat on anyone they saw operating a business. So even though the gyms were closed, the gym owner where she worked was allowing some of the trainers to come in and work out so they could stay fit by themselves, not training anybody, just one person in the gym, right, using it. And they were getting the cops called on them by people who in the apartment complex nearby who would see somebody going in the gym would call the cops on them multiple times. So she finally left for a while and came and lived with us in Texas. Like they couldn't do anything. It was an authoritarian nightmare. It was also, as I mentioned, the crime is out of control in LA. It's becoming another San Francisco. This same friend of mine was robbed in West Hollywood. And if you guys know anything about LA, West Hollywood used to be the nice part of Hollywood, the gay, nice, expensive part. She was robbed like as if she had been in downtown LA in broad daylight. I know it's just an anecdote, but you guys know if you live there, you know what's happening. And I feel for you if you live there. I do. Okay, so let's take a look at what's happening in this dystopia. Well, first, let me just thank a couple people. Randy, Mr. Randy Wallen, good to see you. I saw some pictures of you training some ladies in firearms, which is awesome. Randy is a firearms instructor and a friend of mine. Thank you for the super chat for $5. He says pre-show super chat just for Keri showing up. Rock on, happy warrior. Thank you. I did show up. I was like, I got to do a makeup show because this stuff is bothering me. John Thomas. Hey, John Thomas. Thanks for being a member for 9 months. He says, did you meet up with the fat electrician? I didn't. I don't know who that is. Is that a? I'm ignorant. I don't know who the fat electrician is. Okay, here we go. Here's some of the crazy stuff that's happening. This is from a guy I just started following on X, Anthony Cabasa. He's an independent journalist in Los Angeles, and he's been getting a lot of footage and photos. And so he said, here, these are some images from the protests in LA. And you can see here, there's just tons of graffiti. And these are from 4 days ago. You know, these riots have been happening for days. The rioting, the looting, spray painted F Trump, of course. They have Death to America. And they put 2 Ks in there. I think they were trying to be clever and they forgot the third K. What idiots. Morans. It's like that old sign. Remember that sign, Morans? They're Morans. Death to America. Okay. They say death to colonialist domination. This is evidence right here of woke going big, right? Like this is woke going big because you've got graffiti artists who I'm sure didn't go to an elite university, but they still learned all the language. They've still learned the lexicon, the woke lexicon, colonist domination. That's what they're doing on graffiti. Here's one that says dead cops with a smiley face. This stuff, it's not the worst. I mean, you know, if you've been following it, they're burning cars, they're shooting fireworks at horses, at police horses. There's Molotov cocktails. You know, these people are looting sushi restaurants and other kinds of stores and Adidas and just all kinds of violence. But the graffiti is important to me because it's a sign of everything that comes after. If you have strict enforcement against the small breakdowns in society, in reciprocity, right, in a community, if you have strict enforcement against that, then it's less likely you're going to get into people throwing bricks into store windows. But this stuff is just, we've just gotten so used to it as a society, or especially in places like LA anyway, where they just allow this to happen. This is the sign of a breakdown in society. I said something about the graffiti on my Facebook page, and a friend of mine who's a musician, he's kind of a lefty. I like the guy, but he's sort of, part of his mind is in that world. And he just did that little passive aggressive laugh reacting and like, haha, that's so funny. You think graffiti's bad. Yeah, I do. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's not uncool. You know what's uncool? Destroying your town. Making it ugly. And it doesn't matter what you're graffitiing up there. You're making it ugly. But the fact that what you're graffitiing up there is that you hate your country, death to America, and you hate police officers, dead cops, you're wishing murder upon people. That makes it even worse. They certainly graffiti a lot of death, right? Death to America, death to colonists, dead cops. Like, these are ghoulish, demonic people. And it starts with the small things. It starts with locking these people up. Stiff penalties. Yes, we need stiff penalties for graffiti and for property destruction. It shouldn't be a slap on the wrist and a fine and get out of jail in 2 days, or if you even go to jail. It should be much stricter. It would cut down on everything that comes after this. This is the beginning of a breakdown in society when you start to see this kind of crap everywhere. So of course they're doing that. Let me show you this. This is a Twitter user named Cynthia, Real Cynthia Hughes. I don't know her, but I just saw this because she had some of the images of all of the fires and, you know, the criminal acts, the property destruction. She says, because a lot of the leftists, they just say things that aren't even true. We saw some of them saying stuff online about, you know, oh, Trump's calling in the National Guard to LA, huh? Why didn't he call in the National Guard on January 6th? He did. They don't even know that he did. Nancy Pelosi didn't want them there. They don't even know. And they keep trying to compare this to January 6th, which is ridiculous. And as this person, Cynthia Hughes, points out, January 6th was a 1-day, 4-hour protest, which, by the way, she doesn't mention this, but I will. They opened the doors for them. We eventually got the footage. It took forever to get the footage. But once you see the footage from that day, you can't unsee it. The Capitol Guards were letting people in. They were removing barriers and letting people in. They were guiding the shaman guy around. There's footage of them. But anyway, January 6th was a 1-day, 4-hour protest. No buildings burned. No businesses looted. No police cars torched. No American flags set on fire. Compare that to what the left calls mostly peaceful. And look at this, just carnage. And they do this every time. These are violent, destructive people. This is what an insurrection looks like. People who are going there intending to do violence and doing it. I'm going to show you this one. This is Nick Sorter. I think he's on Timcast a lot. He's been sharing a lot of footage out of LA, and he's got this video here. This is interesting. He says, breaking, rioters are being given earplugs, gas masks, and water bottles to throw at police. Fox LA are also reporting truckloads of bionic shields, which cost $60 each, and they're being delivered to rioters. There's nothing organic about this. Who is funding this? It's also, you know, this also had what they always do, Antifa and the, you know, the violent arm of the left. They had pallets of bricks delivered. Photos where you can see these bricks just sitting and waiting so they can throw them. But let's take a look at this.
And you kind of get to learn what the agitators look like. And I'm seeing a decent amount of them out here right now, always dressed in black, always with face coverings, not holding any signs. And as I told you earlier, Sean, a lot of people were showing up here and they were being given earplugs, gas masks, water bottles, not to drink. A lot of those water bottles are being thrown. So, you know, unfortunately, it looks like we might be heading for another night of things crossing the line here in Los Angeles. And as we're waiting for apparently more National Guard and more U.S. Marines to head down here to Los Angeles. We're not seeing any of them in the streets. The National Guard, they're basically sitting around federal buildings helping protect them. They're not out in the streets pushing these protesters back. This is all the locals. Everything you're looking at in front of us right now is LAPD. It's not California Highway Patrol. The LA Sheriff's Department is behind us. This is all LAPD. And we heard the chief of LAPD say last night they're a bit overwhelmed. And, you know, that's... Once these agitators come out in huge numbers and LAPD has to constantly respond to different areas, they reported that some of these people were using radios to communicate with each other last night to report law enforcement movements. So it's complicated for law enforcement as well. But this is essentially the game that gets played all night long here. This is the main protest crowd. Police will try to push them back. They kind of melt away like water. We'll go down another alley, reemerge somewhere else. LAPD will get a radio call, have to go respond to them.
You see graffiti there on the ground, F-U-C-K, Trump. I mean, it's everywhere, the graffiti.
And every now and then, you'll have these 10, 15-minute spurts where it's quiet, and then people will start throwing water bottles and fireworks again, Sean. But, I mean, you're seeing it in front of us, a lot of foreign flags, and certainly seeming to be kind of a different crowd than what we saw a few hours ago earlier this evening. Definitely, you can feel the tension building. You can definitely feel like as the sun is about to go down here, you know, we could be in for another rough night here in Los Angeles, Sean.
Yeah, this has been going on for days now. And as he mentioned, Trump has called in the National Guard. Now, the National Guard is there to protect the federal buildings. So this is LAPD that you see pushing people back and up on the mounted police officers on their horses. Gavin Newsom and pretty much everyone I've seen, all the talking heads from California, all they're doing, they're not thanking our president for sending in National Guard to help protect the federal buildings that they're not able to protect and they're not going to protect. They're not thanking him. They're doing interviews talking about how he's an authoritarian and he's overstepping and they don't need him and they're going to sue. California's now said they're going to sue Trump for sending in the National Guard to protect the federal buildings, which he should do. LAPD are overwhelmed. They've admitted as much. They're all out on alert now, which means anybody, this is how this hurts the people of your community, the people of your city, the people of your town. Anybody who's calling in for police assistance with anything else, they're not getting helped. They're not able to respond to all of those calls. They've put out statements saying as much because they have to deal with these violent criminal toddlers. They have to deal with the left creating all this mayhem. Think of all the emergency calls that are going unanswered or have a very long wait time. Yes, bros and bows, they always drag these things out when in truth it could be stopped in a day. Arrest all those people. Arrest them. There's footage of them on an overpass pushing bicycles and scooters and stuff off of the overpass and dropping them on police cars and shattering the windows, trying to set the cars on fire from above. I've got that article pulled up. We'll look at it. And the police said, the LAPD said they usually wait it out. They'll wait it out until they disperse. You're going to wait it out? They're attacking the officers of the law. Why are they not being rounded up? Now, there's a couple of instances where you do see the police using what I feel is appropriate force. And of course, the leftists are losing their minds over it. So, according to a leftist, you can do anything. You can set police cars on fire. You can riot. You can loot. You can throw bricks. You can shoot fireworks at horses. You can do anything. But if a police officer responds with appropriate force when they're being attacked or their horse is being attacked, well, suddenly, oh my goodness, that's police brutality. This is a mounted police officer, and you see a rioter here who's attacking the horses. And look at how this officer responds. I think this was appropriate. He's punching the horses. She was right to hit him back, to push him back. He's attacking the horses. There's also looting going on now. Wait a minute. Let me show you this one first. Hold on. This is just insanity. Look at this. This is what the left calls mostly peaceful. They've been destroying these cars, setting them on fire, spray painting them. You can see that car there, F-U-C-K, ICE, F-U-C-K, I don't know, cops, probably Trump, who knows, America. You can see all of these other cars in the foreground that are just engulfed in flames. Absolute chaos in the middle of the streets. They took over the I believe it was the 101 at one point. If you ever lived in LA, you know that's a very busy freeway. They just stopped traffic completely. No concern, no regard for the people who live there, for American citizens. For people who are trying to get to work, maybe they have emergencies, maybe they need to get to the hospital, they shut down the freeway. These rioters, these leftist rioters. Look at this picture. There's a guy standing on top of the car. He's wearing pants that have like skulls all over them, and he's got a mask on like Antifa, and he's waving a huge Mexican flag. Someone got upset with me for the thumbnail art that I used on this video, and they're like, how dare you, you know, shame on you for using a picture of this guy as representative of what's going on, as representative of illegal aliens. Shame on me for doing that? Really? What is he representative of? Because this is the face of the anti-ICE, anti-government, anti-American riots and violence that's happening in LA. This is the face of it. That is what he represents. And what's hilarious is these protests, these riots, they call them protests, but these are riots. This is insurrection. This is violence. This is setting things ablaze, destroying private property. They say this is all so that people can live here in America. People who came here illegally can stay here. Well, then why are you flying a flag from another country? Seems kind of like you're advertising that you want to go there. Why are you flying that flag at these protests? These are protests about immigration, and you're putting up the flag of the country that you don't want to go to. That makes no sense. You're burning the American flag and you're flying the Mexican flag, but you want to stay in America, but you're burning the American flag. Makes no sense. Here's another one of that same guy. This is a close-up one. This is the one I used in the thumbnail. And this guy has a great point. Jason Howerton, I don't know him, but he says, for every liberal claiming Trump as being a dictator, a dictator, for trying to restore order from violent radicals, that's what they are in Los Angeles, I have a challenge for you. Go to Mexico, attack their police force, set their cars on fire, and hoist the American flag in the air and report back on how it goes. Here's this guy. You know, oh, he looks like a tough baddie, huh? Look at his studded belt. He got that at Hot Topic. He's a real baddie. Look, he's got skulls on his pants. Is that the Misfits band or what is that? Oh, this guy, look at him. There he is standing on top of one of the cars they destroyed. Arrest this guy. Arrest him. Let me show you this one. This is from Sean Farish. Now, I just came across this guy recently in the past couple of months. He's a really funny Trump impersonator. If you don't know who he is, I don't know much else about him, but he doesn't look anything like Trump, but he sounds like him more than any impersonator I've ever heard. It's hysterical. His videos are really funny. But he's reporting on some of this as well. And he said, look, ABC says the LA riots are, quote, just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. Quote, just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. And then he goes, what's making the cars burn, dude? They light themselves on fire? And he has a quote from Orwell's 1984 about the party. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command.
Officers and large group of people, it could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into
wow, that's all this is. Look at that minimizing language. It's just some people having fun. They're just having fun watching cars burn. That it could turn it into something really bad though. That's not bad.
a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
So it
Large group of people.
Unbelievable. I want to show you how some of the politicians are responding. Oh, wait, no, let's do this one first. Look at this. Breaking. Businesses in Los Angeles are being vandalized with Intifada and FUCK, the cops. What does this have to do with opposing ICE? These aren't protests. They're violent uprisings by jihadists and communists. It's because they're all of this arises from the same ideology that's doing all the pro-Hamas, Intifada protests. It's the same belief system. I can tell you right now, if you are a woke person in Los Angeles who, and I know several who are still there, woke people, who is talking about on how Trump is the dictator, Trump's the bad guy here, you're minimizing this, you're making excuses for these criminals, these violent insurrectionists, for Antifa, if you're one of those people, I already know what you think about Hamas. I already know what you think about sterilizing and mutilating kids. I already know what you think about white privilege and all the other everything kit and caboodle that goes with woke, because it is a cult. And because you were given all of your opinions, and we know what those opinions are. You guys never have an original thought or stance. You never have any nuance. You never say anything interesting. You all repeat the same things. It's all the same people. A lot of them at these supposedly like anti-ICE riots are flying Palestinian flags. Of course they are. Of course they are. And queer flags and the pride communist flag and all of it. It all goes together, kit and caboodle. You know, it's just right out here in the open, just graffitiing this business. No respect at all. Breakdown of society. This is the future they want for all of us. This is what the woke commies, this is what they want for this is what they want for little small towns like I was talking about earlier. Just destruction and chaos. Where's that come from? Where's that born? A lot of it's born from resentment. Resentment at other people, having an attitude of being aimed towards resentment in life. Being a miserable person full of darkness who wishes darkness on everyone else. It's the same spirit that animates school shooters like the Columbine shooters. If you read their writings and their journals, Eric especially, if you read his, it was just this spirit of resentment, of wanting to hurt as many people as possible. That's where the left, that's where it thrives. It grows that in people. It attracts people who already have that spirit of resentment, and it turns them into little foot soldiers. And then it grows that spirit of resentment in the people with good hearts who wind up in it because they fall for the messaging. It grows that in them until they become just as monstrous. Excess Zeitgeist says these people don't know what dictator means. Correct. They don't know. Like they don't know what fascism is. Exactly. They have no idea what fascism is. They can't actually define it. They just use words to deflect from their evil actions. Yeah, don't look behind the curtain, just do as you're told. They do projection. They're calling him an authoritarian. They're authoritarians. They call people fascists. They are fascists. So this is a Los Angeles City Council member, Eunice Hernandez. Supposedly, according to her bio, committed to the people. And then she's got the commie fist, the communist fist. Committed to the people. No, you're not. You're committed to criminals. You're committed to illegals, to violence, to destruction. You're not doing anything for the people. The people are suffering while every day these riots go on. Here she is urging the left and the Mexican nationalist mob to escalate their violence in the insurrection against the federal government. This was shared by Andy No. Listen to her. This is how the politicians are responding. They're supporting it. Los Angeles, you don't have anybody working for you. And you're the ones voting these crazy freak shows in.
They know how quickly we mobilize. That's why they're changing tactics. Because community defense works and our resistance has slowed them down before. And if they're escalating their tactics, then so are we. When they show up, we gotta show up even stronger. They know how quickly
they're escalating their tactics, and so are we. Do you know one of the things that happened there? Glendale. I saw this. Glendale is a community inside, it's not Los Angeles proper, but it's in LA. They just put out a statement on their Twitter account a couple days ago as a result of the violence, the insurrection, attacking officers, people trying to do their job, setting cars on fire. And so they are now, look at this here. Let me get this one on the screen. They are now teaching these people, these rioters, these criminals, that being a criminal works and it pays off. And threatening violence works and it pays off. Because they just put out this statement. They said, after careful consideration, the city of Glendale has decided to end its agreement with U.S. Homeland Security and ICE to house federal immigration detainees. We're not going to let them house them here, the detainees. This local decision reflects our core values, public safety, transparency, and community trust. It reflects your core values? No, it doesn't. Well, I mean, I guess it does. These are your values. You value criminals and illegal aliens more than you do the people and the citizens. So they put out this statement 2 days ago, which basically just tells all of the rioters, all of the criminals, all the leftists, like, hey, this works. Keep doing this. This is how we get what we want. Let's do it in more cities. Let's do it in more towns. That's what they're telling them. This is Austin. These ridiculous protests have now spread to Austin and Dallas, parts of Texas. Let me tell you, I have high hopes for Texas based on the statements of our governor that we're not going to put up with this the way Los Angeles has.
Down from any of these cases. In fact, Homeland Security Secretary tonight on Fox saying they're going to arrest and charge protesters who are assaulting officers. So this is happening in real time, and it is the clash also, Caitlin, of immigration and law and order, two of the main issues of President Trump, all coalescing in this moment as people protest the methods of this administration.
And I also want to show what's happening in Austin. This is what's happening in Dallas.
Look, did you see that girl? She's got the Palestinian scarf on. This is all the same people. This is just woke people. They're at every single riot. They call it protests. Every riot, every insurrection, they're always there. These are the same people at the pro-Hamas crap, the same people at the BLM crap, the same people for, mutilating kids crap, for the pride crap. It's all the same people.
Dallas. We also have similar scenes that are playing out, protests that are underway in Austin right now. Elliot, when you look at what's happening in Dallas there, I want to go back to that image that we were just showing. Obviously, things seem to be heating up there as you're looking at this scene right now in Dallas where they are clashing with the officers. A lot of people are looking at this, and what I asked to Tom Hillman was, is this going to be the new normal going forward in terms of more National Guard being deployed to other cities as well?
Well, and it all depends, quite frankly.
It won't be the new normal if you shut it down, okay? It's not going to be the new normal if you show that you have zero tolerance for it and you institute high penalties for it. No, we're not tolerating this.
frankly, Caitlin, on what happens with the legal challenges to this implementation of the National Guard. Now, look, there are circumstances where the president can federalize National Guard. Now, there are obviously
I want to show you another one from LA. This one is a man in the anti-ICE crowd rushes towards an LAPD officer with a pepper ball gun and gets lit up with pepper balls and hit with a baton before running away. They are responding in LA now with some of them. You're seeing these isolated incidents where the cops are using force. It looks like a war zone. It looks like a war zone. And it's what I hear the left saying is this is somehow the officers are at fault here. Trump is at fault here. Anybody trying to maintain order and protect the citizens is at fault. No, the left is at fault. The rioters, the criminals, the illegal aliens. Do you know we have, I think the latest numbers I saw are 18.6 million illegals living in our country. 5 to 6 million of those came in during the past 4 years, during Biden's 4 years. 5 or 6 million. I keep hearing from leftists, this one woman on my profile was like sharing some anecdote with me about a person she knows who's illegal, who she doesn't think should be deported. People are tired. Do you not understand what's happening? People are tired of the lawlessness. They're tired of the completely open border policy. It seems that we've had for at least the past 4 years, if not longer. They want you to feel empathy. They share an anecdote about someone they know. Well, this person, okay, and I do feel a degree of empathy. I do. But I don't have a lot of room for it because I have empathy. I care a lot about the American citizens who are being impacted by this, the people who live in the poor border towns who shoulder the most of the responsibility for it, the burden, the border states, for people who are dealing with resources that are tapped out, for overcrowding in schools, for the American citizens who are footing the bill. I have empathy for the people who are killed by illegal criminal aliens who we knew were criminals. Biden knew were criminals and, was doing catch and release. They don't ever want to talk about those names. They don't ever want to talk about people like Lake and Riley who were murdered by criminal illegal aliens who were here on Biden's watch, who were caught and released. So the average person is, just so you know, leftists, like the average person is not going to be responding in the same way to your anecdotes like we used to. We're kind of tired. Maybe your anecdote about that one person you know would have more of an impact if that one person you knew were the majority, but they're not. They're the exception. Do you know what the rule is? The rule are the abuses. Again, we have 18.6 million illegal aliens here. 5 to 6 million of those came in under the Biden years. So I'm sorry, I don't really care about that one person you're trying to tell me about right now. I don't. It's not going to work. You try and massage, manipulate empathy from, what about this one story? What about your empathy for Lake and Riley? We have a procedure. You can come in legally if you follow the procedure. Why do you get to jump ahead of everyone else? Do you know who gets the angriest about illegal immigration? Are legal immigrants who went through the process. I get angrier than those of us who were born here do, because it meant that much to them. Because of what they did, because they wanted to be an American so much that they went through the process. And you have to learn, there's parts of the process that have to do with assimilation, which is important. Learning about the country you're moving to, developing an affection for the country you're moving to, the language, the culture, the people. You skip all of that when you just cut to the front of the line and come across illegally. Kevin Anderson, don't give a rat's fluffy butt. GTFO, exactly. That's how I feel lately. When they try to use these anecdotes on me, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not playing that game with you. Because I can sit here and give you anecdotes about people you don't have empathy for, about all the people that you don't care about, and the border towns that are shouldering this burden, and you don't care. I've got more to show you, but I just want to thank a couple people. Drew for $5. Thank you, Drew. Thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for the super chat. He says they're so desperate to be living in a dystopia, so they create it themselves. They do. Isn't that crazy? They manifest it themselves. They create the boogeyman they want. They do desperately want to be living in a dystopia. They want authoritarianism. They don't care if it's them being the authoritarians, or if they cause an equal and opposite reaction where you have to bring in federal troops, then they get excited about. They're happy about the jackboot. They love it. That's what they wanted. I agree with you, Drew. Thank you. Randy Wallen for $10. Thank you, Randy, for supporting Deprogrammed. Randy says, we are in a revolution, and we have been for decades. The same useful idiots that sold us out in the 50s and 60s are doing so today. What's seen on the streets are just foot soldiers of something much larger. I agree. I absolutely agree. The left, the politicians, they run cover for the thugs on the street. The academics, the woke academics, they're the ones who spin all the lies. They're the ones who spin all the ridiculous justifications for it. They're the reason that these thugs are spray painting death to colonialist domination. They're the reasons that these thugs know phrases like white privilege and heteronormativity. It all works together. They all have a part to play, but it is all evil and corrupt. And it's been in the making for decades and decades. Like Randy says, if you go back and look, if you're a leftist and you're hate watching right now, welcome, by the way. I don't care. I'm all out of cares to give. I do not care what you think. I don't care what you call me. We don't care. We don't care about your opinion because we see what you celebrate. We don't care. What's that quote? We don't care about what you boo at because we see what you celebrate. You celebrate this kind of thuggery, violence, destruction, chaos, unlawfulness. Like, that's what you like. So who cares what you don't like? But if you're here, I mentioned this online, you should go and you should watch. I know a lot of you haven't. Those of you who think you're open-minded, if there are some of you there watching, go and watch the videos of Yuri Bezmenov. He was the KGB agent who defected and in the 80s did a series of interviews about the demoralization of a country from within. How Russia doesn't have to attack us. Any country that wants to bring us down, they don't have to do it themselves. That they can do a long-term plan of demoralization from inside, which is what they've been doing, the long march through the institutions. And this has been happening for decades now. It was happening when I was at Duke in the 90s, teaching American kids, entire generations of young people, to hate their country, to sympathize with and to run cover for, make excuses for people who spray paint death to America and burn American flags, teaching them to have self-loathing. That's been happening for decades. Planting and growing in them a spirit of resentment. If you've got kids, like, I don't even know if I would send them to college. Unless I knew I had done a really great job of preparing them beforehand. It's just not worth it. Maybe you could find a good, I know like Hillsdale, there's some good Christian colleges where woke has not spread. But it's been in most universities and colleges for a while. It was at my university in the 90s. It's in K through 12 now. We know this. Randy Wallen for $5. Thanks, Randy. It also says, Data Republican explains all of the funding. The money's definitely coming in from destructive outside groups that are hell-bent on revolution. Oh, 100%. And you should go and follow Data Republican. Randy also for $5. Thanks, Randy. Says they fly the Mexican flag because they want California to be part of Mexico again. Reconquista. They don't want to go back. They want to take back. Oh, yeah. They just want to take and destroy. The leftists, the leftist Americans who support all this stuff, they also want destruction. They may not be as overt about it, but this is what they want. They want the chaos. Destruction of all norms, all traditions. If you look at the academics who push this stuff, that's what they write about in queer theory. They're very explicit in queer theory. It's about destruction of all norms and traditions. Everything. They want equality in the rubble. John Thomas for $2. Thank you, John. Says that LA ABC station is directly owned by Disney. Wow. The ones who were saying, oh, it's just people having fun watching cars burn. Andrew Knapp for $5. Thank you, Andrew. Says, if you say peaceful protest 3 times in the mirror, George Floyd will appear. You guys are the funniest. Saint Floyd. It's mostly peaceful. Don't say it 3 times. He'll show up with some fentanyl. Sorry. A little dark comedy. Let us have a little dark comedy. Okay. I want to show you this. This is Maxine Waters lying and telling the media. This is what they do. We know this. We've been through this before. We went through this with the BLM riots where they told us it was mostly peaceful while there's fires raging in the background, and people like Maxine Waters stood in front of cameras and told them to do more, to escalate, to get in people's faces, she said. She's lying and saying that the protests have been peaceful. She's calling them peaceful protests. She calls the acts of violence, which include Molotov cocktails thrown at police, incidents. Oh, there's just a few incidents. She's telling Americans not to believe the reports of violence. Don't believe your lying eyes. It's straight out of Orwell's 1984. Don't believe what you see before you. Don't believe reality. Let me spin you some horse poop.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed.
Yet, first of all, and you know what? They were killed in the BLM riots that you supported. There were people killed. David Dorn was killed. That's one of the names that comes to mind. There were many. You destroyed Black businesses. You killed Black people during the BLM riots. Do you think that's not going to happen here in LA if they let this continue? They've destroyed property. They've created terror. That's what terrorists do. They've created terror and mayhem. And how many people have died because they couldn't get to the hospital because the 101 was blocked? How many people? We have no idea the impact. How many emergency calls have gone unanswered thus far? And she's here carrying water for the criminals. Doesn't care anything about the people. Nothing for the people she's supposed to represent.
Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight. And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw. Protest and even
just completely 1984ing it. Just completely. This is Maxine Waters. Here's another post we're going to look at. This is footage of her harassing the National Guard in LA. Just, this is what she's spending her time on. Again, not grateful that they're there to protect the federal buildings. Look at all of this disgusting graffiti behind them. This is again the first step. They've got the anarchist symbol there and everything. Look, I'm all for, we don't have to go to Singapore level, okay? But I am all for stiffer penalties for property destruction and graffiti. I can't say it enough. We need it. You need to have a deterrent so that people don't do this. In my little tiny town where I'm from, in South Carolina, I'm in a couple of the Facebook groups there just to see what's going on in town. People I know still there, you know. And there's a graffiti in our little tiny town. Somebody started graffitiing all over town in the middle of the night. And just and the business owner, it hurts more when it's like people, you know, business owners have to go and clean that off, and whoever was doing it was back the next night doing it. Like, they're trying to catch this graffiti artist. I'm like, we need when you do find that person, there needs to be a stiff punishment for it. Okay, let's watch Maxine Waters spending her time harassing the National Guard.
What are you going to do? You going to shoot some kid who's afraid of you and run? You going to shoot an elected official?
Did you hear her? She's yelling at them. They're just standing there doing their job, protecting this building that's already been attacked. And she's yelling, what are you going to do? Are you going to shoot some kid? What? Then she says, are you going to shoot an elected official? What? She's like heckling and taunting.
Yeah, I'm done. What are you going to do? You going to shoot some kid who's afraid of you and run? You going to shoot an elected official? If you shoot me, you better shoot straight.
If you shoot me, you better shoot straight. Yeah, John says, is she inciting? It sure sounds like it. Nobody's trying to shoot you, lady. The only shooting here is you shooting your mouth off.
I don't know why you're in my city. You did, the governor was not contacted.
I don't know why you're in my city. Maybe. Here's a guess, Maxine Waters. It might have to do with all the graffiti you can see on that federal building behind you, all of the destruction that's been happening in your city. And maybe it has to do with people setting cars on fire and throwing Molotov cocktails at police officers and shooting horses with fireworks. Like, I'm just guessing. It could have to do with the looting that's happening in your city. Why? I don't know why. I have no idea why you're here.
This is Trump and his outrageous attempt to not only target our sanctuary city, but to frighten us and intimidate us. This is wrong.
So she's there yelling at them saying, this is Trump trying to frighten and intimidate us. What are you talking about? That's what the rioters are doing. They are terrorizing. These people live in upside down world, like the devil. Up is down. You know the Bible verse in Isaiah about beware of those who substitute good for evil, dark for light, sweet for sour. Like, that's what this woman is doing. She's sitting there and calling the sheepdogs. She's saying the sheepdogs are there to terrorize. No, they're there to protect you from the wolves, lady. But you're on the side of the wolves. So why should we expect any different? Yes, Darvo, you got it. People in the audience. It's absolute deny and reverse victim offender. This is what psychopaths do. It's a tactic.
And I hope that none of you will use those guns to shoot anybody. There's no reason to shoot anybody. Don't allow them to make your service in a service where you're killing people. Don't do it. Defy them. Don't shoot those guns for anything. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. That's your government official. Good job, old lady yelling at troops. This woman, how old is she now? I'm sorry to be a little bit ageist, but how many years has she been there? Can somebody look that up? This woman needs to be working in a garden. She needs to be making sandwiches for grandchildren. She does have a child. She has one child. Does she have grandkids? I mean, why is this old lady out in the streets yelling at men who have a job to do, which is to protect the people, to protect that federal building in particular? This lady, Maxine Waters, would be there defending Tim McVeigh. Think about that. He blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City. She'd be like, don't do anything, officers. Don't do anything to protect this building. Please. I don't know why you're here. Like, I don't know why you're here. Larry Elder calls her the Wicked Witch of South Central, LOL. Yes. Oh my gosh. If it was her house or business, her tune would change, says Kendra. Yes, it sure would. They always change. I don't have this pulled up because I didn't see it, but my husband was telling me about there was some account on X that was doxing ICE agents, like individual ICE agents, and putting their home address and all of their info out there, and trying to get people to attack them and show up at their house, which is what was happening, putting their families in danger, putting them in danger, doxing the identity of ICE agents. And again, I didn't see this. My husband was just telling me he saw this, that apparently somebody ended up doxing the person who ran this account that was doing this, and the tune did change. Suddenly it was, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I was doxing ICE agents. I've now been doxed. Please. People are coming to my house. My family's in danger. Yeah. I'm not saying what they did was right to dox this person either. It's not. It's like the shoes on the other foot doesn't feel so great, does it? Why are you behaving like a psychopath? And then when somebody does that to you, you're like, oh, this is bad. Yes, it is. You shouldn't have been doing it. There's my husband in the chat. Hello. He says it was doxing where the raids were going to happen. They caught that guy. Yeah. There was another one. Maybe I'm confusing them then, because there was another one that was doxing individual agents. Just evil. John Burcham. Hello. My favorite atheist commentator outside of Pirate. Pirate doesn't count because he's a mod. Hello, John Burcham. Thank you for the £5. Hey, you're also a British atheist. Good to see you. Okay. Well, I've got a few more videos pulled up. There's just so much that's been happening there. And the looting. Let's take a look at the looting, because this is, never let a riot go to waste, right? So this is a clothing store that they're looting. Sorry, I had it. Let me start over. Just absolute insanity. What's that expression? This is why we can't have nice things. Like, the little town I was talking about at the beginning, and I'm trying to write this piece about it. To have a healthy functioning society, there's a couple things that exist. How about phrasing it this way? There's a couple things that exist in a healthy, thriving society. First of all, there are strong families. Families are the building block of society. So if you have healthy, strong families that are raising healthy kids, you're going to have a healthier society, a healthier community, a healthier city and country. So they have strong families. Another thing is it's a high trust society. You trust one another. Trust is developed over time. You help your neighbor out when they need it. They help you out. It's a high reciprocity society. meaning it goes both ways. You help people when they need it. They help you when you need it. You trust each other. When you get to Los Angeles stage of societal breakdown, it's a very low trust. This is a low trust society. Everybody knows in a small, there are some small towns like the one I was in, everybody trusts each other. You know, you hear stories about how we used to live in a high trust society where in a lot of towns in America, you could leave your door unlocked, or you didn't have to lock your car at night, or people didn't think about, like, nobody would do that. Nobody would violate you. Pretty, you know, it could happen, but it would be such an outlier. But everybody knows when you've reached the Los Angeles level of decline, you don't leave your door unlocked. Never. Are you kidding me? It's become, remember that comedian, that idiot woke comedian, Seth Rogen, that actor who tweeted about how all the car break-ins in LA are fine. That's just a part of life. And he's just used to his car window being shattered. He doesn't care because he's just used to it. He was making excuses for criminals too. This is like low trust, low reciprocity. Just completely taking advantage of these violent riots to loot. This is resentment. This is entitlement, arrogance, all of it. This is darkness. Societal breakdown. Here's another one. It wasn't just clothing goods. This is a sushi restaurant being looted. Isn't this crazy? Nick Sorter shared this. Rioters are now looting a sushi restaurant in LA, stealing the cash box and wine. I'm sure that'll stop ICE, right? This is what they do. It has nothing to do with ICE. These are just vultures taking advantage.
Holy shit. They looting.
No, we don't do that shit, homie.
They just broke in. Mimi, thank you for that rainbow. Oh my God, who just sent that gift? Who day? Thank you.
Hey, they're looting that building.
They're looting the building, guys. They're looting the building. They've breached the building. They breached the building. San Pedro and 2nd Street. Estamos en la San Pedro y la calle 2. En el centro de Los Ángeles se acaban de meter al edificio. Se acaban de meter en el edificio. Ya están robando, destruyendo.
Just absolute madness. Here's another one from Nick Sorter. Breaking rioters are now back to setting cars on fire again in Los Angeles while police watch.
Now, so when are we going to crack down? What's the time to make that call?
That's a great point.
There's a fire now that's being set.
It is, and this is not the first time. This is called arson. This is a felony. This is an arson. Okay, every single police officer and deputy sheriff right now wants this to end. Because they swear to uphold the peace. They swear to put their lives on the line so that this does not continue. Unfortunately, the governor of California is 100% adding fuel to the flames. His rhetoric is one thing. What he says is one thing. What he does is another. He is absolutely part of the problem that we're seeing here.
Yes.
And so there is a lack of cooperation with the state of California and local officials. There's not our hearts and prayers go out to every single deputy sheriff right now that are just absolutely exhausted and watching this unfold. This could end right now.
This is a problem. As Randy said, from the top to the bottom, it's the politicians, it's the academics, it's the activists, it's the woke wine moms, soccer moms who support this garbage with their words and their money, their donations. It's the thugs, Antifa, it's the ones on the street doing the destruction and the damage. It's top down. And none of it is for the people. And none of it is for communities. And none of it's for the citizens. That's not something they consider at all. One of these leftists was telling me yesterday in my comments, deportations are going to hurt all of you conservatives who say you care about liberty, and it's going to hurt you. I'm like, how exactly? I'm trying to think. How is it going to hurt me to enforce the laws of this country? And then said it's going to hurt you when things start to cost more and you have to do things yourself and there's nobody to make your lattes. And I was like, wow, okay. So here's the thing. You guys who say this stuff, you leftists who say this stuff, and if you are hate watching, I can pretty much guess that you're a white upper class or middle class lefty. Maybe you're stuck in the 60s. Maybe you're younger and you got indoctrinated with all this crap in college. But I just wanted to say this. All the stuff that you guys say, the projection that you do, that's you guys. You're like, oh, boo-hoo, if there's no illegal workforce, who's going to clean my toilets? What? I'm going to have to get a new maid and pay her a living wage. I might have to clean the toilet myself. I might have to mow the lawn myself. Like, that's you guys. Oh, my lattes. That's you. And if you go back historically, this blew my mind. This is true. The Democrats said the same thing when slavery ended. They were like, no, we can't end slavery. Who's going to clean our toilets? Like, they said the same thing. This is going to hurt all of us. Who's going to do all of our labor? We can't end slavery. That's what the Democrats said back then. That's what they say now about enforcing immigration law, about protecting our borders. You reveal yourselves. That's what you do when you say stupid stuff like that. Randy Wallen for $10. Thanks, Randy. He says, Stalin can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Yeah. Left doesn't care. The left doesn't care about anything but power. Absolutely. Knows their people will hurt others, but they understand that's just a means to an end. They're evil. They are. At the center of woke leftist ideology, the thing they worship is power. You can learn this by, I've been talking about on this channel for years now, but look at what they their behavior, like what they prioritize at the top of their ladder of things of importance, of their values. Power's at the top. It's not a value, but that's what they worship. They put it at the top. It's also in their language. They say things like racism equals prejudice plus power. Sexism equals prejudice plus power. They say it when a woke person dies. They don't say rest in peace. They all say rest in power. Like that's the center of their religion is power. And they will do anything to get it. They are Machiavellian. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. They will murder. They will hurt. They don't care. Anything in pursuit of power. John Thomas for $5. Thank you, John. He says the video the other day, uncle took his young niece and raised her. 18. She complained he did nothing for her and dumped her belongings on the front yard. Oh, is this in reference to the electrician you were talking about? I'm going to leave this with a star on it so I can go back and look at it later. Sage RJ says, I love how people use Trump as an excuse to commit crimes, joining in movements that they don't really care about. Oh, yeah. They'll use anything as an excuse. It's Trump's fault. Surly Unicorn, where's Snake Plissken when you need him? Snake Plissken is the best. Escape from LA. Hey, that's what I did. I escaped from LA in 2016. I didn't have an eye patch or a motorcycle. What was he riding? But I escaped. it wasn't nearly as exciting and treacherous. Good Grief says, this dude broke into my place. I called the police, and my super woke friends got mad at me because he got deported. I believe you. That's the thing. It's like out of a movie, but that's what it's like nowadays. It's insane. I have a male friend who was raped. You're not supposed to use that word on YouTube, but sexually assaulted. And his woke friends, this is when he first started leaving the left, when he tried to talk about it, his woke friends got mad at him because he was taking the focus away from female victims, is what they said. Something crazy. Some crazy thing about like the woke don't make any sense. And talk about people who don't have empathy. Like they're always using that word. They want to manipulate it in you, but they don't have it a lot of times. Or theirs is like perverted. Their empathy is warped and misdirected towards criminals, pedophiles, murderers, people who break the law and hurt others. Like that's where they direct it. Michael Collier for $9.99. Thank you, Michael. What's up? He says, growing up in the Bay Area during the 80s and 90s, we never locked our front door. You know what? That's amazing. I've heard that before too. That was really different there in the 80s. We rode BART and we would party all night in San Francisco. Now when I visit, I don't want to be there during the day. It's terrible now. That's why the businesses are leaving. And look, LA is on its way to becoming a San Francisco. They want to turn every city into a little San Francisco. We were in Omaha, as I said, and it's beautiful right now, but it's not going to stay that way if the woke keep moving there, and they are. They've got that woke shop, right? Like Reagan. This ideology poisons and rots a city from within. Criminals are the real victims. Yeah, that should be the slogan of the left. Let's show some more footage. There's just so much footage coming out. Okay, this one. Again, it's with the Mexican flags on everything and waving them and isn't this supposed to be a protest, even though it's a riot, but isn't this supposed to be on behalf of people becoming Americans? But here it is again. You're just waving. Do you hear what they're shouting while they're blocking traffic and disrupting everyone's day with no regard for anyone who lives there? They're shouting peaceful protest. We're doing a peaceful protest. That's what they're shouting and waving the Mexican flag. That's enough of that one. Okay. Now this is one that Nick Sorter shared. The LAPD showing up finally, and he's correct that it took national pressure. It took the president sending in the National Guard to help and to protect the federal buildings for them to actually send in all of these cops. So he says just in hundreds of police cars from across California. So the governor's sending finally police from other places have arrived in Los Angeles. Holy crap, this is a massive show of force. He says, keep in mind, this never would have happened if Trump didn't force them to step up. Take a look at this.
And you talk about a show of force there. I mean, talk about your backup, right? Yeah. I mean, I got your back. Yes, they do. As far as we can see.
Yeah, John's telling me, John's a photographer in SkyCal, 3 city blocks worth of law enforcement that have filled this area, and there will be no match for the protesters, which is the stark difference between last night and tonight. Lots of early decisions by law enforcement tonight to move the protesters into certain areas, and a lot more law enforcement that are here.
Also, they've brought in buses finally to start arresting these people who are violent and who are refusing to get out of the street and who are rioting and looting. So you can see that here. Finally,
Comes the ride. We get to get front the view. There's some race out here. There's a couple of them right here.
look at these protesters. Look at this fat white woman in a mask. This is your typical leftist. Okay? This is your typical. I bet you she's not even again, these are the same people that show up at everything. They're at the pride stuff, they're at the mutilating and sterilizing kids stuff, they're at the BLM stuff, they're at the pro-Hamas stuff, they're here at the ICE stuff. This woman, I guarantee you, she's not an illegal immigrant. That's nothing to do with her. She's just a woke protester full of resentment and anger and hatred out there. This gives her reason, purpose, a dark purpose. She feels like she is important. You're going to need a lot more buses. You're going to need many more buses. We'll stop that one right there. Okay. Now, here's one. The protesters crying as they start to be arrested. So Nick says the LAPD just surrounded a group of rioters and told them they're all under arrest, and you can hear the rioters immediately start crying. Finally,
The police just said we're all under arrest.
let me get back to this frame of this girl. Look at this girl. By the way, you can see all the traffic they've stopped here. Nobody can go about their business. God forbid they have an emergency, need to get to a hospital or something, right? Because you've got these babies in the street causing violence and destruction and preventing anyone from going anywhere. Look at this girl with the hat. Now, I'm a hat person. I like hats. I just think it's kind of funny. She's dressed like Blossom from the 90s and she's sitting here crying because they're now going to be arrested. Blossom done FAFO.
The police.
Oh, okay, so people were telling me, Therese, hey Therese, what's up? Says I saw her last night. She kept getting in the cops' faces. And then also Drew says crying, the narcissist's final tool after nothing else has worked. Oh yeah, then they put on the fake waterworks. Now I'm a victim. I'm a victim. Somebody else says girl. She's not a girl. She's older. Yeah, she is. I tend to call people. She looks to be about 65. Probably just call people girls and guys. But you're right. She's older.
Just said we're all
okay. Let me take this off the screen. I think this is sorry, that's one I already showed. I've got some news footage here from ABC and I've got some pictures. Let's start with some of the photos. Again, the leftists are really upset when you share any pictures. The social media leftists, the Facebook, wine mom, soccer mom leftists, the woke ones, they get upset. How dare you use these photos? How dare you try and characterize it with these pictures? Well, honey, this is what's happening on the ground. This is a series of photos from Reuters from LA in pictures, clashes in Los Angeles for third day after anti-immigration raids. And this is from yesterday. So now it's been, 4 days. And this looks like a war zone. And this is the fault of leftists, of the criminals, of those who are trying to prevent our government from trying to prevent ICE from doing its job, from deporting illegal aliens. You can see here on the right some of these protesters, these rioters. Of course, there it is, the Palestinian flag or Palestinian scarf that they all wear. Police cleared demonstrators after they blocked a street with a barricade during a protest against federal immigration sweeps in downtown LA. So they blocked the whole street with these benches. No regard for anyone else. Anybody who needs to use that street or get by, nothing. Here's a picture. A member of the Los Angeles Metro Police clashes with a demonstrator during a protest. There's a woke girl with the Palestinian scarf and a sports bra. Police officers detained demonstrators. This is what you expect. Again, this is who's out there. This woman probably got indoctrinated at college. Some white lady who hates her own country. Police officers are enveloped in a cloud of smoke from tear gas and percussion grenades while guarding a highway on-ramp during a protest. Again, this is a riot. This is not a protest. This is not a peaceful protest. Look at their signs. I see F-U-C-K on a bunch of them. They love just F-U-C-K, and they love death too. Now, here's a police car that's been destroyed. Police officers walk next to a damaged police vehicle on a highway. This is one of the ones where they were dropping from this overpass here. They were dropping large rocks and scooters. You can see a scooter there at the back of the car. They were throwing scooters off onto these cars, trying to set the cars on fire. And look at their signs. This is a printed sign. Billionaires are the real enemy, not immigrants. That's what it says. Well, billionaires are funding all this crap. They're funding you guys. So, you know, this makes about as much sense as when you guys marched when the first time Trump was elected in 2016 and you all put on your pink pussy hats and you marched and you said, "We're the resistance." You weren't resisting shit. You're the status quo. You're there for the status quo, the oligarchs, the elite, the billionaires, those who would turn us into farm animals and sheep, those who want to eliminate private property rights, those who want to tell us you can't go outside, you can't work today, we're shutting down your business, it's illegal to operate. That's who you guys are on the side of. There's another Mexican flag being flown amid all of this inferno of cars that they've set on fire. Just look at it. Police officers took a look at a demonstrator during a protest. Again, they're calling this a protest. Look at the gas masks they're having to wear. This is a riot. You can see they're all wearing masks. They love masks. They love the Palestinian scarf. Arrest all of these people. Come on. Like, fat. There's another fat. This is what they've done to the cars. You can see a whole line of cars here that they vandalized. They spray painted F-U-C-K ICE. And then they've set these all on fire. Waymo cars. These are Waymo cars. These are members of the LA Metro Police. That guy there, that police officer's name is Gonzalez. They would probably say he's internalized his own racism. That's what they would say. He's internally racist against himself, Gonzalez. Here's an idiot hipster woke with some hexagon glasses. Oh, he got his cool glasses on. And his little self-satisfied, smug, and this is what a police state looks like, he says, kneeling in front of the police officers who had to be there because of the violence that he and his friends are committing in the streets. This is what I meant about that's what they want. They want the jackboots to show up. They love authoritarianism. They want it to happen. He got his Instagrammable moment. This is what an idiot looks like. That's what you could change your sign. This is what a brainwashed moron who hates his own country looks like. Also, lose some weight. Again, lose some weight. Here we've got a picture of some of the police officers next to the federal immigration agents. This woman is wrapped in an American/Mexican flag. It's like the two melded together. Looks like a demonstrator. Yeah, a demonstrator reacts. Well, looks like she's crying. She got a couple of the nose rings there, the ones that they put on the cattle, and some leather. It looks like she's got a leopard skin shoes, trendy, cute boots with some spikes on them. Must have got those at the same Hot Topic as the guy with his spiky belt. And she's crying. Looks like she's crying there as she faces the consequences of her own actions. Here they are loading someone onto the police department bus where they're taking away people they've arrested. This guy has a knit Day of the Dead mask. I actually really like that. It's a cute mask. It's cute. I don't like that he's wearing it. Look at again with the belts. Look at they all have the belts and stuff. Like, we're so cool. We got this at we got this at Rioters Are Us. Rioters Are Us. We're badasses. Look at the sign here. So you've got the police there, and in the foreground you've got these rioters all wearing masks, of course, and flying Mexican flags. There's one American flag, and look, it's upside down American flag. And then there's a big old pink sign, and what does it say? Again, these are always the same people. It's always the same woke. It's the same people at every cause. It's not like different groups of people. They've got a pink sign and it says socialism and LGBTQ liberation. There you go. These are woke commies. Graffiti where they've, destroyed this city street here, and you've got a white lady protester in a mask sitting there handcuffed. Here are some of the cars they destroyed. There's the overpass where they were throwing things at them. You can see a scooter and a bike there on top of that one police vehicle. Here's another guy they're arresting. This is a guy throwing rocks. He's got a brick in his hand. They caught a mid-action shot throwing rocks at the police. These are guys destroying cars, graffiti all over the cars. They've got flags. There's something in the background set on fire. He's got a Mexican flag, Viva Mexico. One guy's up on top of the car, beating it with a skateboard. This is just absolute chaos in the middle of the streets. I'm only showing you guys a portion. I'm sure some of you've seen a lot more than what I'm showing you. You can Viva right back to Mexico, says, good grief. Yeah. John Thomas for $5 says, video the other day. Oh, that was the one I bookmarked for later because I didn't understand it. Randy for $5. Thank you, Randy, says, when the professionally printed signs show up, it's coordinated with outside money. Absolutely. It's so funny that the signs purport to be against billionaires, but who's paying for them? Who's paying for them? Jardum for £5. Hey, Jardum says, have you heard that the No Kings movement is planning 1,800 protests next weekend? I had not heard that. I will look into that. I'm No Kings. if they're going to keep doing this crap in Austin, first of all, I hope we nip it in the bud right quick in Texas, but also I might go down there and try to get some footage. Randy Wallen for $2 need to do a show just critiquing their outfits. Thank you for the idea, Randy. I think that'd be fun. We should do a fashion show. Maybe I could get Mike Harlow or someone to come on and we just sit and just talk crap about what they're wearing. Because they're just, somebody, it just cracks me up because they're trying to look hard and like, I'm a riot, I'm a thug, I got my Antifa mess. And then you're like, did you lovingly pick out that velvet Hot Topic, honey? Or did your mom buy that for you? I bet your mom bought it for you. Your little studded leather bracelet, a little cute. So cute. Idiots. Great idea for a pop culture episode. I'm going to wrap it up. We just got back from Iowa, like I mentioned at the beginning. I'll probably cover this again during the week because it seems like LA is not going to put a stop to it anytime soon, unfortunately. But I'm going to wrap it up here because we have a lot of work to do today. We are just back at the house and have a contractor coming over. We're starting, if you care about all the stuff we're doing with this old house and renovation, we're starting on the yards now. We got 7 dump trucks full of dirt. We're dumped here and they leveled the ground. This is before we left. And a friend donated his dirt, which was amazing. We also, now we have someone coming over to, my husband has it in his mind that we are going to construct a beautiful greenhouse like the one in Comfort, Texas. If you've ever been to 8th Street Market, they have a beautiful greenhouse, and we're going to try to do one like that. It is gorgeous. And since he thinks we can do it, then I'm on board. I love that. It's my favorite greenhouse ever. If we can build something like that, it's all built out of vintage windows, and it's just beautiful. It looks almost reverent, like a church or something. So we have a guy coming over to talk about that today, and I got to get going on that. If you like the show, please hit like, please leave a comment, share it with your leftist friends if you want. I didn't have a lot of charity for them in today's episode. I'm just really looking at all this destruction. I'm just like, you guys suck. You just suck. Today was not a charitable or generous day for leftists. Sorry. Maybe I'll have it back. I'll have my mojo back in the next video, but I'm just so tired of these people. I'm so tired of them trying to destroy our country, trying to destroy the fabric of our towns, our communities, trying to destroy our children and families, the law. They want to destroy the country. They want to destroy human souls and the country with it. And I don't have a lot of patience for it today. So, WG, thank you for the generous super chat. Thank you, WG. Says for $50, not sure if you've mentioned this already, but even Cesar Chavez was against illegal immigrants. Yeah, because he knew they took jobs from Hispanic American labor trying to prosper. God bless. This is true. And thank you, WG. Thank you for the very nice super chat. And also, we saw some of this coming out of Chicago when all these so-called sanctuary cities and towns that like to virtue signal, like Martha's Vineyard, they're not in small border towns. They're not in poor border towns or border states. They don't have to deal with the burden of it. They certainly do virtue about it a lot. And when governors of Florida and Texas started busing migrants to them saying, okay, here, share the burden. We'll give you a bus of 50. And they all freaked out in Martha's Vineyard. Remember? Oh no, not 50. Try thousands a day, dude. Not 50. We can't handle it. Anyway, in Chicago, we saw city council videos coming out of Chicago where there were black and white residents of Chicago in the inner city who were speaking out at the town halls. And they were like, we can't handle this. You're housing all these illegal immigrants in our kids' school, in the gymnasium. They're taking up all the resources at the hospital. Like we can't shoulder this burden. And rightly so. You're taking from one hand to feed another. You're taking from the citizen to feed someone who broke the law. It's theft. And it's not your job as an elected official to do that. Your job is to protect the borders. Your job is to uphold the law, not to run cover for criminals and violent thugs. John Burcham, I don't want your mojo back. This is the you I love. When I'm out of patience, Okay. Well, that's one part of me. I'm like I get out of patience like anyone. I don't have a lot of it today, so I'll get it back though. Okay. I'm gonna wrap up. If you're in Los Angeles, I'll say a prayer for you. I hope you get out. I hope you get out of these big cities in general. I just think life is better in a small town. And thank you to the people of Manning, Iowa, who were so kind to us this week. That was a really cool experience. We are going to be doing a book club Thursday, June 19th. We're going to be talking about The Return of the Strong Gods by R.R. Reno. So you still have time to go read that book, The Return of the Strong Gods. It's given me a lot to think about that relates to all of this. And it's a great book. If you want to be a part of book club, send me an email at deprogrammedpod@gmail.com. That's all. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye. There we go.